Welcome into the first live edition of the Buffalo Down podcast. It's live because, well, we do have quite a time predicament on our hands here. The Bills are taking on the Texans in just over 4 hours. Or actually 5 hours, really. But for Thursday Night Football, the short week, officially, we're at the culmination of it, and we're going to see what the Bills are able to do. But Justin, I guess we'll start off with here. Joe Cali, Justin Siejak, by the way. How are you feeling after the Bucs matchup? How much more confidence did that instill in you? We have a preview, or we have a recap, I should say, of the Bucs game up on our YouTube channel, the Buffalo Down Pod. So if you want to go get our reactions from that before the Thursday Night Football game, before you watch the rest of this, feel free to. But dominant performance from Josh Allen. I mean, are you feeling confident about this Texans game, or what are you feeling like?
Absolutely. I think both the fan base and the team needed a game like that to just, get some sort of good vibes in the air. And here we are, Thursday Night Football. It's a quick turnaround for the Bills, which is it's going to be a little, shocking to see who's healthy, who's not, because the Bills were already a little banged up. But, they come in Thursday Night Football. It's going to be a new look receiver room again. Obviously, the early news that Keon Coleman's going to be sitting out again in favor of potentially Gabe Davis, who will get called up here.
Yes.
But it's a big game for the Bills. If they can continue to stack these ones late in the season, especially AFC games, that's big for them. And I think the team's looking to turn the tide here. So I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, big is an understatement. I do believe Gabe Davis will get elevated. There's no reason he wouldn't, other than his injury reflared, but we haven't heard anything about that happening this week. So all signs are pointing to another Gabe Davis game. Listen, I'm going to just throw this out there. If you want a Gabe Davis anytime touchdown bet, it's like plus 470. You can supercharge any parlay.
I like those odds.
They tried feeding him last week. They're definitely going to try again. So, Josh wants to see Gabe get into the end zone. I would like to see Gabe Davis get into the end zone. So, it might be a good play, but just let's get into the preview of this, I guess. Dominant performance, as I said, from Josh Allen in the offense last week against this Houston defense is number one in the NFL, in my opinion, right? And a lot of metrics.
No, it is.
It really is. So, this is a big test for this Bills offense that found new life last week in the passing offense. And you watch the Denver game, right? And that's kind of where Dan Orlovsky mentioned something on One Bills Live yesterday. And just, you actually go back and look at that. The Broncos, capitalized by throwing down the field on those safeties, right? And I mean, the Bills, that's what they started doing last week, and that's what helped them really get a win over Tampa Bay. I think the formula stays pretty similar. But before we do that, Justin, you want to roll into the injuries real quick? For the Bills, on the Bills side, Kincaid, Curtis Samuel, and who's the last one? Totally blanking right now. Kincaid, Samuel, McCole Hardman.
Yeah, McCole Hardman
with the calf injury. So the receiving room, a little banged up there.
The Texans are banged up too, pretty bad. So
yeah.
We'll see who ends up being inactive for them. But Jalen Petrie and C.J. Stroud have already been ruled inactive, and obviously that's one big piece on each side of the ball there for Houston. So that's a decent hit to each side there. You're going to trust Davis Mills on offense, and it's the next guy up on the Houston Texans defense. And I'm going to take a second here and give the Texans defense their flowers, because they've quietly been historically good this year. Okay?
Right.
They rank number one in allowing an opponent passer rating when targeted. 72.7. Their quarterbacks are completing 72.7% of pass. They're tied for third in the league, 10 interceptions. They're number one in the league for yards per game allowed, allowing only 258 total yards. Number one in the league for opponents' points per game. That's 16.3 through 10 games, so total of 163 points through those games. And they're number two in the league for opponents' rushing yards, 871. So this team is elite, and I haven't even mentioned Will Anderson, who's playing like a defensive player of the year this year, man.
Yeah, and you know who else is playing really well on defense, surprisingly enough? Former Bill, Tim Settle. Playing well for them.
He's been a good piece for them.
So if only he could play like that when he was in Buffalo, but I digress. Looking at the matchup, I started alluding to the passing attack, right, and what Denver was able to do. And Bo Nix, I think Josh Allen's got a better upside than that in a passing game. So with Gabe Davis, the way the offense operated against Tampa Bay, I think should be similar against the Texans. I don't think you're going to put up 44 points on this defense.
No,
it's not going to be like it was against Tampa Bay, but I think you are going to be looking to score on every possession. And I know that's like, why would I even mention that? But the Bills can't have those drives where They run on first down. They're predictable. They get snuffed out. They have to
Right.
punt. Punting should not really be an option in this game. You're going to have to kind of take the game. You want to be in front of them and force them to have to make those mistakes with Davis Mills, a backup quarterback. And that's kind of where game script comes into play for me. I think it should be a healthy mix. I don't think we should see James Cook written out. If
No,
the run's not
healthy
working,
mix is the way to go tonight.
that's where play action comes in. And
Yeah.
that's where the Bills are their best. Because, yeah, if they launch a few down the field, guess what? If you do play action, you're not going to know whether James Cook's going to run the ball or you're going to be throwing it 40 yards down the field.
Yeah.
Like,
you make a great point. It wasn't a coincidence the amount they ran play action last week and how the offense looked. I will add, though, one thing I didn't add on the Houston Texans defense. They're also the number one unit against play action. So if there's going to be a game where they will struggle with play action, it's with DeMeco Ryans in the Texans defense. I mean, these guys have been elite year-round. We'll start with the boundary corners, right? Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley Jr. I personally believe this is one of the best defensive backs duos in the NFL. And both of them are probably under the age of 26, if I had to guess off the top of my head, which is crazy. And then they got Reggie Bullock in the deep safety, and of course Jalen Preacher, who's inactive today. But I mean, talk about playmakers at every level of this defense. And Will Anderson's there, and Danico Autry's there. They can both get after the quarterback. It's a really talented unit out there, and I think the Bills' offensive creativity is really going to be tested tonight. Because where are you going to see them win down the field? Is it going to be in between the tackles, or is it going to be down the middle of the field? I don't feel confident in testing those boundary corners with the guys we have at wide receiver.
No, and honestly, I even though you don't feel confident, I think it has to happen, right? Every so often. Like, they're going to have to do it. That's I think where, like, as uncomfortable as you might be, we gotta step outside of the box a little bit because they're gonna snuff out anything simple. Like if Joe Brady, they're gonna know you're lining up for a run on first down, like the Bills tend to do, right? Like all of that. So it's a healthy mix, as I said, and I think it's worrisome in a sense. I don't know why I don't know if this is just blind optimism or just cockiness or something. I think the Bills' defense is going to be able to shut down Nico Collins. Like, I'm not really worried about their offense scoring as much as others are. Like, I know Davis Mills was the one that discovered Nico Collins was still on their team because CJ Stroud was not finding him realistically throughout the season. But, like, what did they let Egbuka do? What did they, since Drake London, the Bills' passing defense has been very good at shutting down the number one wideouts. So, like, and we'll get in more of the defense later, but I don't think the offense is going to have all of the pressure on them like they did against Tampa, where it's like all gas, no brakes. I think the defense is actually going to have an okay day because also Houston's offensive line is not the best either. It's can't really run the ball.
It's terrible. Their offensive line is very bad.
Yeah, I was trying to be a little nice, but yeah, I mean, I'll jump right on that with you. They're disgusting.
I think that's the recipe, if we're going to kind of segue into the Bills defense here a little bit. I think that's the recipe to win tonight, is just get home with 4 rushers, make Davis Mills uncomfortable, try to force him out of the pocket, make him make a dumb decision. I was listening to McDermott talk at the presser earlier this week, and he called Davis Mills mobile, and I was like, is he mobile?
I don't know about that. Yeah.
I don't know about that. He was a Stanford tree for a reason. But he can play. We've seen him, dish the ball to Nico Collins pretty efficiently here in the past few weeks. But outside of that, who are you worried about? You got Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, 2 of the rookie receivers. Dalton Schultz, who the Bills are like number 1 in the league in allowing yards to tight ends. Not allowing yards to tight ends. So I'm not scared of Dalton Schultz. No, with all due respect. And
he's coming off of he's a little banged up, Dalton Schultz, too.
Did he pop up on the report? I didn't even see.
He was earlier, like, just today I noticed it, like, kind of looking through. But it was more on just player news than, like, the actual injury report. So I don't know if he was just limited for whatever. But, I totally agree with you. I'm not scared. Cole Bishop, I think he's going to have a day. Max Hairston, I think he's going to have a good day. That secondary is
rounding out.
It's really rounding out to where you're comfortable, no matter who. If it's Poyer, right?
It's rounding out to the point where another 1 or 2 good games, I'd call it a strength.
Yeah, And that's kind of scary, that the fact in our Lord's year of 2025, Jordan Poyer's on this team, and we're saying it's good if after a couple more wins for the Bills in the secondary. But, I mean, you're right. Like, I'm more concerned about turnovers than anything,
Sure.
right? Because, like we've said, the defense going to be able to take care of business. The offense, and this is just kind of the big game picture I have. Like, not to bounce around, but like those 2 interceptions from the Tampa game that can't happen.
No.
This defense is going to make you pay for that. Where Tampa, I mean, your defense held up. So maybe the Bills defense can, but you don't want to put that all on them because they're still very injured up front. You don't want that to be
Sure.
the script of the game. So keeping the turnovers at minimum and utilizing all aspects of the field. And I think Joe Brady knows where he's at now. That last game was a Joe Brady offense, right? The way they called it. So calling a creative offense, I'm not really concerned about. I think he knows the pressure's on. Dare I say, I don't want to be the one to say this, but like every game from here on out's a must win. If you want the division back, it's a must win. So like everyone knows what's at stake. I'm not really concerned about creativity and everything like that. It's just, can they keep the ball safe? Because the Miami game, those 2 fumbles when they're trying to do too much. This game, like the Bucks game, right? Like the 2 interceptions, as I said, like it's been a little more unsettling. And honestly, I don't know. The offensive line this season is allowing a lot more sacks, and I think that might be a concern with this Houston defense as well.
Sure.
Because you don't want Josh Allen to get forced into a spot where mistakes are made, you know? So how do you feel about is that a concern for you, or where's your biggest concern?
I'm absolutely picking up what you're putting down because the Bills' point differential has been astronomical since 2019. They've been number 1 in the league by far measure for a long time now. This year it's good. It's plus 63, but it's not that elite, otherworldly point differential. I believe the Colts are number 1 in point differential this year. I'd have to look it up. I'm pretty sure they're number 1. But it's not the same elite takeaway defense that we've had, where Josh Allen isn't turning the ball over and the defense is getting at least 1 to 2 turnovers a game. That hasn't been the case the past few weeks. It's never too late to change to that. But also, this is kind of where I want to segue into my next topic. I'm okay with a few of these turnovers if the offense can pick it up a little bit like they did against Tampa Bay. Where do you stand on kind of the sentiment that Josh Allen playing a little bit more reckless is the way that they should be playing?
I mean, if it's not obvious enough, I think I'm taking that every week.
Yeah.
If he can be an alien, and okay, like I was just talking about, hopefully no interceptions, but if one's given up or a fumble's given up something, I'll take the bad if they really can just lay it on teams with him playing that way, because you have a built-in safeguard with him. Yeah, he might, it's like the dog you love, right? Or the cat, any animal any pet. They're a little bit of a nuisance at times. Like, stop begging for food, you mooch, right? But at the end of the day, they're there for you. You love them. Like, that's what Josh Allen is. He's a golden retriever, like, without question. Like, that's the best comparison, because he's gonna get himself in trouble. He's gonna roll around in the mud, okay? But at the end of the day, he's gonna frolic through the open field and fly around and do what he can do. So, like, yes, I'm a notion of all gas, no brakes. I said that on the other podcast I do a couple weeks ago, and my other co-host was not thrilled about that at the time. But I feel like everybody's kind of come around to that after watching Josh Allen last week, because that really was all gas, no brakes. It was the offense just absolutely layering it on Tampa, and the defense doing what they could when they could. And you're not asking too much of them in their injured state. Okay, if Oliver and Hoyt were there and healthy, I don't think we'd be having the all gas, no brakes conversation, because I think it would be all gas and all brake at the same time, because you would legitimately be allowing 0 points with the way your front line's going to play. And then also your offense would be laying 40 points per game on teams. So, like, in the state that they're in, in my opinion, their best case to win is to just unleash Josh Allen and let him do what he does. And I guess take the medicine of the mistakes as best you can, right? Just pinch your nose and throw it back. That's all you got to do.
No, and I think part of this conversation that's been, kind of allowing Josh Allen to be who he wants to be, reckless, if you will, if that's the term you want to use. I think the
Schizophrenic,
Bills have
maybe?
kind of,
I don't even know.
yeah, I know. I think the Bills have kind of wisened up to running calculated, planned runs with Josh Allen as well. The past few games, we've seen, the options, the tuck and runs,
Hmm.
called in critical spots, aka the red zone. I think Josh Allen will forever and always be your best red zone threat if you are the Buffalo Bills. So that's always, like you said, a nice safeguard to have. I've appreciated the way they've calculated the risk of him getting hurt while also making that an efficient part of the game on offense. These past few games have been really well called from that standpoint, and I do expect some more of that tonight, because I think that's what we saw last year against the Texans when the Bills were down in Houston against Stephon Diggs and C.J. Stroud. We saw a little bit more of that,
Yeah.
and I think the Bills, they know what the Texans are capable of on defense. I don't know. I'm scared of the defensive line. I really am. Because
Yeah.
we're talking different beasts here. It's Will Anderson and it's Myles Garrett in a league of their own right now, and we happen to be playing one of those guys tonight. So I do get scared when those guys get near Josh Allen. But again, it's
Yeah.
part of just like letting him spread his wings. Those first 8 weeks of the offense, you're putting a muzzle on Josh Allen.
Hmm. You are. And that was the big, complaint from 90% of the Bills fans. It's like,
Yep.
okay, I like that we can do it just getting the run, right? Getting it done by just running the ball, but like, do we even have a second part of our offense? Like, are we
Right.
really that one dimensional? And now you see that, was it Coleman? Like, maybe him getting benched wasn't a performance thing, but maybe it is now after
Right.
the way your offense looked. So like, maybe that needs to be taken into account, where they're a lot more confident with him not on the field, and with the chemistry Gabe and Josh had off the rip. As soon as Davis is back out there on
Yep.
the field, it's like back like he never left. Um, and there are boundary catches that he made that Coleman wasn't making this
Right.
season. So listen, it'll be interesting to see how this all ends up, and if this is still a disciplinary sit from Coleman, if it's just only a couple days on the short week, so they're not going to change anything up, or if Gabe Davis gets signed to the 53 man, I think
Yeah.
that
No.
might
Then
be
you're
it for
then you're having
then.
a conversation.
Yeah, but I don't know. The offensive line, I think, is going to have a big, big ask, and I think Allen can help out a little bit though.
Yeah.
Like, those quarterback design runs work. And him being mobile in this game, I think, is going to be big. Rolling out, play act, like doing as
Yeah.
much bootleg as you can. That's where he's at his best. Whenever he
Mhm.
rolls out to the right, he's undeniable, because
Yeah.
he has all the time in the world. He'll wait until he literally is touching the white stripe on the sideline, like, to throw the ball away.
Yeah.
So it's like he gives
I've never
himself so
seen a
much time.
player in like even any other sport
Mm-hmm.
where they turn on the F it mode and they become the greatest player of all time. And it's
No.
just like that's just who he is. That's his MO.
Well, you
And
saw everyone this week.
you just
Is he
can't
the
you
best
can't
quarterback?
negate that from his game.
Yeah. All the talking heads went from Baker Mayfield being the MVP front runner, like Ryan Clark was saying something about that last week, and just like how I'm taking Baker over Josh Allen. If you put a blindfold on me, I'd pick Baker Mayfield. Some takey thing that they say.
Yeah.
And then we end up with this week Colin Cowherd, all these guys. Josh Allen's definitely the best athlete in the NFL. Like, there's no question about it. And it's like, I can't deal with that. The back and forth. Like,
I
either
would love
get
for
on the
somebody to
train
pull up the
or get off.
transcripts from previous weeks.
That's what I'm saying. And even last year in the MVP conversation, like,
Yeah.
it was so bad. But I think Allen being unleashed last week is giving me such a sense of confidence. I'm a little scared. I don't want to sound overconfident,
Sure.
but like, realistically, if he has half the game he had last week, I'm more than happy.
Yo, yeah.
He
100%.
annihilated them last week single-handedly, and test the ball downfield. I guess that's my big PSA for anything. Is
It's a big Joe Brady game. If they can go
Yeah.
on and score 30 points on the Houston Texans, Joe Brady, you're gonna have a hot phone line this summer. I'll tell you that.
So I'm saying he could single-handedly change his future with one game compared to what he's been looking like for the majority of this season. So it's an interesting point where we're at right now. I just don't exactly know what to think. Like, I don't want to be overconfident in a way where it's scary or not, but I do think they will put up 30 points. And I know the Texans haven't allowed that many, but the Bills defense, I think, is going to be able to stop Nico Collins in the offense and everything like that. I don't think we're going to have to worry about the Texans offense putting up a lot of points. I think realistically it's going to be, can the Bills offense put some points on the board on the Texans defense and then maintain a lead? And I think that's the big storyline for this week. But looks like Justin lost a little bit of the connection. So we're going to call this episode of the Buffalo Down podcast. I'm Joe Cali. He was Justin Siejak. That was our little game preview before Thursday Night Football on a short week. We'll talk to you next week on the other side of this game. Hopefully it's a win. We'll do a reaction show. Maybe we'll do it at the end of this week. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. But without further ado, go Bills. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching if you tuned in live for the first time.